We should be good to go. All right. I will open up the town board budget workshop, September 10th, 2025, roughly 4 p.m. As always, we are remote and virtual, so if you folks are interested in taking a look at the video, you can find it on the website. Also, for these workshops, you can participate via Zoom. The instructions are at the top of each of our agendas. Next up, I would like to ask Councilor Nicholson to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first off.
Want to thank you for all being here. Budget time is very interesting. I'll go down through, I'll save the personnel for last. I'll go through the other items. My 200 account, which is equipment, it's gone up about $400 from last year. I'm putting in for a printer at the front counter. It's a lot of use. Garum did, it was having a spooling problem. They did fix it. That one gets a lot of volume. So I want to try and get an HP because the Canon Toshiba does not support refilling the cannons.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna look at maybe at HP because they seem to be more reliable than
Yeah.
most of the other ones.
And so that would be to replace the current one that's there?
Yes, yes, because I'm hoping we can get it through the school cycle and then replace it next year, if possible. My contractual account 400, it stayed the same. Office supplies, which is 401. I think it went down about $270. Kay's been really good about getting me good prices for my envelopes and everything, so it's gone down a little bit. Seminars and conferences, which is 402. That is, I've increased that by $80, so it's $13.15. I'll be in Buffalo next year, so it's a little bit pricier than what I was at Lake George. Association dues, 403, stayed the same. Information technology, my tax program will go up $100 each cycle, so now it'll be $3,200 instead of $3,000. Printing and advertising, 408 account, stayed the same, 120. Personnel, I put in 4% for Reba and Sharon. Half of Sharon's pay comes out of trash and brush, and usually Ann handles that, and it's usually it mirrors what I figured out. I put in for a larger raise this year. Last year it was brought up that I'm considered part-time. So I'm really not part-time. I had Kay run my hours from last year. And a normal, I work 36.25 hours a week, which comes out to about, I'm gonna say about 1,800. And I worked 1,779 hours last year. I took 75 hours of vacation according to the new schedule. If I did get vacation, I'm elected, I don't. I would be 6 weeks and 5 personal days that I would use just like anybody else. So I would have 217.5 hours of vacation, and I would have 36.25 hours of personal days, and I didn't even calculate sick days. So a normal work year, 52 weeks out of the year is 1,885 hours. And I work 1,779. I just want to be brought up to what other department heads are making. New hires, new positions that have been created are making more than me. This year's school, along with the property tax, I'm responsible for collecting $127 million. So it's a lot of work. My staff puts in a lot of hard hours. I put in a lot of hard hours. And we average usually about 5,300 people in person for each tax cycle. As opposed to the mail, we get about about 3,500 to 400. Escrows, we have about 4,000. So there's a lot of traffic in the building, a lot of responsibility. And I just think through the years, I think it's been overlooked. People don't know what I do. And, we do a lot. It's not just collecting taxes. We're social workers, we're psychiatrists, and, you gotta take the time with people, especially when they come in person. The revenue, I'm gonna put down 80,000. For last year, I think we collected for both school and property tax about 93. It's just a hard number to calculate,
Yeah.
and at least 80 would give you some idea. Hopefully, I'm gonna get to the 90 again, but again, if everybody pays their taxes on time, there's not a lot of revenue you can generate with that. But, any questions?
So one of the things that I think we should probably start looking at is, with the revenue, since you have to take a guess at what it's gonna be, I think what would be really helpful too is if we can take a look at essentially making sure that later on in the year, especially towards year end, once you're done collecting everything, that we do a budget amendment to make sure that that revenue is accurately reflected. And then maybe what we can start doing with that is when you start realizing, an extra $10,000 in revenue, we can probably take a look at this year's budget,
And plug it in.
and this budget for next year,
Mhm.
pull a couple things and just like maybe look at the printer this year.
Right,
Because if we've got the extra revenue, rather than it just falling to fund balance,
Yeah.
it might as well serve your department in the way that we need it to.
but I didn't really know if the revenue that's turned over, it's never been dedicated to my department. It's always just been put into the general fund and
Yeah,
used.
and we're taking a look at
accordingly.
that a little bit differently, especially around like highway, police. I think it makes perfect sense for you as well. And, obviously we do it with planning and development, but they're the only department really within that fund, so it's a lot easier for them.
I see.
But I think that's something that we could definitely take a look at is where does that revenue end up this year? And then try to address some of the increases you're looking for in next year's budget with that revenue this year.
Any other questions?
Or,
Yes.
my other question relates to the in-person volume. It's quite a bit of traffic coming in
It
and
is.
out and a need to have staffing to support that. Would it make sense at some point from your perspective to allow some of that to be paid online? So
They can pay online.
they can pay.
They can pay online, it's $1.50 for an e-check, and it's 2.65% to use a credit card. So they can pay online.
Okay.
And I will say in, kind of what we've been doing in the clerk's office, in the planning department, we are looking for a online payment platform that would ideally just do wire transfers and reduce that. I'm sure you get the ask all the time, usually, in January and September, I get folks coming in asking for that. And that is definitely something we're looking at, because I know that the percent on a credit card payment is a bit.
Yeah.
It's a bit, yes, but you can't believe the people who, whatever their miles are, it's cheaper to come in and pay their taxes than it would be to buy their miles or do it the other way.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people.
Do you have a sense of how many are paying online?
We get probably, like today I had 18 that paid online. When I came in this morning, 18 were in there. It's gearing up more, but more people are using the e-check option.
Okay.
Because when you use your own bank account and you create that, there's no guarantee it's gonna get to me on time. They're not postmarked. And then we have to send them back for a penalty if they come in after the due date. So we're encouraging people for the $1.50. It's not going through the mail. It's not gonna get washed. It's gonna go directly into my account. And it seems to be, people seem to like it.
Well, especially with everything you've been seeing.
Well, it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a disclaimer on the box out front now. That if you put something in there, and there's no guarantee that I'm gonna find it in the morning. Unfortunately, even though there's a camera out there. Anything else? Yes, sir.
How do you calculate your? When it's difficult to predict the revenue, how do you calculate it?
I add up what I turn over to Ann after school tax and what I turn over to Ann after town and county. And that's what I gear it on. I get interest from the bank, on the monies that are in there, and then the penalty monies are all turned over to the town.
And then do you do like a 5-year average to?
No.
Oh,
No,
just go
because the
with it.
interest rate fluctuates so much. I mean, it's been like, one year we did really well. We had like 95 or 96,000. I don't know why. But then it seems to back down to like 90, maybe 87, 89. It all depends on when the collection is
Yeah.
and how quickly I have to turn the money over as well. You know, I have to pay every week.
I've got some numbers pulled up, so we had it at 69,000 in 2024 and 70,000 in 2025, so this is actually. Responding to, and then like even just look at I don't have the 2024 actual, but the 2023 actual was 85,000. So I think you're probably trying to get it at about 80% of what you're.
I am, because it just, I just don't want you to use that money or plug it in saying I'm gonna get it for you and it's not gonna be
Right.
there.
Okay, so you shoot low and you always end up a little higher.
Well, that's why I think, you know, too, making sure that we update that revenue every year, because it'll help us from a budgetary standpoint. But also too, to make sure that, you know, if your department has needs, that
Mhm.
it's, you know, it's bringing in revenue and we should be able to allocate that program.
Right, with you checking to see if actually you can use that for that purpose. I
Yeah.
mean, it's never been done, so.
Yeah.
Even when we used to get star money from the state that was supposed to be earmarked for the assessors and for the tax, and it went somewhere else.
No, I'm pretty sure any of that revenue that we're under budgeting for is just gonna fall to the fund balance in A. And so what we'll do is when we do the cleanup
Okay.
process this year, we'll just make sure we take a look at that.
Seems fair.
Go for it.
Lori, I just have one question.
Sure.
The remote capture e cartridge, is that because you print an endorsement on the back of the check?
Yes,
Are you aware that the bank can do it on their end through the software?
they do it as well.
Okay,
But it's also a check and balance, you know, sometimes when the schooling happens, it doesn't happen. I know that check went through because it's already. I mean, it's a minimal, was it $35 a cartridge or whatever?
yeah, very much. I have a scanner now, so, and they do it.
Yes,
Their end. And then I'll just have to update this, the revenue number is a negative number.
yeah, when I went into, that's the penalties and interest, when I went in there, it went over to negative 150,000, and I don't know why it did it, but I wanted to plug it in because
Yeah.
that's where it
Yeah.
goes. So I have no idea why it did that.
Carrie, do you want an updated sheet after I update that?
No, that should be fine because it'll come in more.
Okay.
Budget.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Anything else?
Thank you for your
Thank you very
time.
much.
Get back to work.
Just so you know, we're not straight into this, so
Okay.
I'm doing that, so. Nice to meet you. Talk. No, should I?
Yeah.
I didn't know I should leave, so you could talk.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going off the spreadsheet that I emailed you guys. Do you have that? Fran? You just. Because it is plugged into the program, but
Oh, it is?
this I thought was a little easier to follow.
Oh,
So. All right, we always start with personnel because that's always our largest portion of our budget. John had asked us at our department head meeting to do 3% increases, so that's what I did. But I do just want to preface that with, of course, I feel my staff always deserves more than that, but I understand we're stewards of this town's money and it's important to do what's asked of us. So especially this past year, you'll see from our income, we've had very large numbers at our programs. Earthfest was a lot. I mean, it's during a busy time of year, so that just kind of added some stress into that time of year, but we did it and I think everything went well other than the weather, so. But with those things said, I did the 3% because that's what you asked, so
Thank you.
that's that. The places we did increase, like hourly rate was our director and assistant directors of playgrounds. We have really good people doing those jobs. They're teachers, full-time teachers, some of them. I think it came to light because a few of them who've been with us, well, it'll be her 30th year next year, is not sure she's coming back. And then to look at that job and realize what is required and the type of person we want in that job, we were like, we have to pay more. Which is sad because we should have been paying her more. Do you know what I mean? And this is the case with people that stay for a long time. So anyways, and if she does stay, we want to be able to show her, we appreciate you and we've raised, you know, this hourly rate. So that is the increase that you'll see there. Everything else, the rec attendants, lifeguards and WSIs did the normal 75-cent increase. Sorry, 50-cent increase because minimum wage went up that much. So to stay competitive for those people, we wanted to raise them the same amount that minimum wage goes up. And then in each box, you can see the totals and how I came up with these numbers, because I budget as if everyone's gonna come back. Cause that would be, and honestly, this past year, almost everyone did come back to playground. And that kind of raised it more, because now you're looking at, instead of, you know, 22-year people, we got 25-year people, because 20 of the people that's their 5th year, which is great. And it says a lot for Christine and Elaine, because they do such a good job with these kids that they want to come back. And I mean, and again, our assistant director and directors, that they are that good of leadership and, you know, giving them a sense of ownership to what they're doing with these kids, so they want to come back. Any questions on any of the personnel stuff?
I just think one thing I did want, you have the note here, but 3 more rec aides. And that's due to
That
the
is due
increase.
to, yes, we had 245 kids at Enders Road, second session this year, and that's the highest we've had. I probably should have tried to research and gone back as far as I could, but at least in the last 10 years, so. We ended up, as you guys know, because you all had to approve hiring 2 more kids halfway through the summer, because we got so many kids, so. You'll see when we get to revenue, we did consider raising the cost, because we haven't done that since. Sorry, I probably should have just waited till we got to this point, but, in 2023, we raised the cost. But I also feel like it's hard for everybody right now, right? I mean, and we don't want to raise the price for when you think about the families, and maybe that's part of why they're coming to us, because it's such a good value, you know, so I kind of push that another year. I probably will suggest we need to do that next, not in 2026, but in 2027, maybe we need to raise it by
Did you increase
$5.
the expected volume of folks coming in?
I'm sorry.
Did you increase, like, from your revenue side, did you increase it to reflect more?
Yes, yes, but as you'll see from my 4-year. It goes like this. I feel like after a big year, then it goes down a little, then back up.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to increase it too much, because I didn't want to end up getting caught. That where it went down. Okay, so no questions about personnel? No one? Okay, office supplies, no change. Recreation seminars and conference. You'll see NRPA did go down. This is kind of a 1-year thing because it's in Philly, so we aren't gonna need to pay for flights this year or in 2026, so that went down. Let's see, association dues, I just increased NRPA by $50 because their group rate tends to go up about that much every year. Rec desk, I called the rep, and that went up by 189, which is really not bad. Printing and advertising, no change. I know every year we talk about Adobe, but we're still all keeping that each department, right? Okay. Program expenses. So our musical is about to have their 50th year of doing that. So I did add a 50th anniversary reception type thing. We want to try and invite back some of our original directors, whatever. You'll see that on the revenue side, I put the same amount because we are hoping to get a sponsor. So if we don't get a sponsor for this much, we're only going to spend what we get sponsorship for.
Okay.
So it's going to be a wash. no matter what it is, we're hoping to get somebody to do that much, but if we don't, then we have a smaller reception and we get more creative. The musical itself, the costs are just going up, the cost of the schools going up, everything is going up, so we did raise that. That's been coming, every year we're kind of, you know, biting our nails that, are we gonna be able to stay under budget, but Christine does a great job of, and Eric, our producer, he does so much himself. Like with set building and all that stuff to keep the costs down. And he really deserves a lot of kudos for that. Earth Fest is an addition. The staff part of it is under the staff special event.
Thank
This
you for that
again,
breakdown, by the way, of all the different events and the hours that go into it, that's really helpful.
yeah.
That one is. really helpful.
Well, I honestly don't know how to figure it out if I did do that. I can't just guess, so we have to do it that way.
Well, that's just really. Others not to figure out his number.
Yeah.
Right. Any questions? Sorry, I just feel like I'm talking and not hearing you guys good. Everybody on the same page? Okay. Mileage is going down thanks to our electric cars. This year we should definitely have money left in that budget because I had budgeted, you know, we're usually driving all over the place in the summer and we actually were able to use Tom's car as well, so
Yeah.
that we could have 2 cars out there visiting programs, so that's great. The only reason I did still leave some mileage under the conferences, you just never know, but sometimes somebody has something with one of their kids going on, so we can't all ride together in the electric car, so I just did in case one person or somebody needed to drive themselves, at least it's in the budget, but hopefully we can work it out where we all get in the electric car and go. Phone, there is no change. Revenue. Okay, so I did raise the revenue by 10,000, because of increased participation for Earth Fest, as you can see from the separate Earth Fest budget that I did. Hopefully, we will still be able to find a couple sponsors to keep that kind of a wash. I took out lawn signs because I feel like if I hadn't gotten those, would have had a plus instead of a minus on our total income and spent. Let's see, what else? Learn to swim, I can't really raise that much more because we're filling every year, so.
Yeah.
Until we raise the cost of that. And summer show, Christine did a great job getting sponsors this year, so I did raise that 2,000 for income. So, it'll show you for this year that we are way above what we set for revenue this year because of just great participation, even our 3%. At the very last page, like for this year, we're actually now that's gone up because I just recalculated it yesterday with fast fees and a couple other programs that have now come in. We're up to 9,468. So that's close to 10,000. So that's, you know, $300,000 coming in that we're getting 3% off of that. So yeah, the other reason I did this very last chart is because I was afraid you guys would be like, you need to raise it even more than that. You brought in over 100,000 this year. Well, if you look, so 2 years ago, we had pretty high numbers too, not as high as this year. But then it did dip the year after, so I didn't want to go too high in case something like that happens again. It's just so hard to tell. I didn't want to overdo it. So the other thing while we're on revenue that I would like to talk about, Alyssa and I talked about this, Alyssa then talked to Maria, and we think that it would be something we could possibly do is it possible when we have a great year like this and we have more than what we budgeted of revenue to start a savings account that's like what the park fees used to be? That we can set that money aside, and if things come up like this pickleball thing with the Village of Manlius, we would have some money to be able to give towards that. if a miracle happens and we ever have a field or a park or a community center, how great would it be to have that money to get then used towards that?
That money's primarily fee driven.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, it's not like you take it, and it's the fees.
What they be project?
Yeah, I think, well, that's the thing, it's like, what we've learned is we can't create a reserve account for that. But what we can do is with the projects module, we can have that money live in the fund balance, like, so it would normally just roll down to fund balance at the end of the year.
Right,
But what we'll do is with it, we track it year to year, so we'll
Okay.
be able to keep track of how much of that is your
Mhm.
overage. And essentially, when we go and look at, when we, ask ourselves, what does the fund balance look like?
Mhm.
Not consider it as our at the
Okay.
work for you.
yeah, I mean,
Abby's very familiar with the project, so.
yeah, I love the projects, actually. It's great, because now I can just pull up playground and see, oh, let's spend on playground, I don't have to sit there for hours and highlight everything.
And that was my goal.
Yeah, I
Well, yeah,
do love
and
it.
so I think we're already set up for that, and then what we can do as well is the same thing as when we look at the revenue from this year, as
Mhm.
we get towards the end of the year.
Yeah,
And a little bit, well, really, we're already at the end of your year for the most part, other than a few events.
yeah, it's just gonna be 3% stuff
What we'll
coming in
do is,
still.
let's take a look at how much extra revenue there is, and then we'll look in the 26 budget and see maybe there's things that either. There's really nothing that can be paid for this year, but we can at least ensure that we have an encumbrance prepared for next year's budget. So that
Mhm.
your budget doesn't actually, so your budget increase, but we can budget against this year's money as well.
I gotcha, okay. But so does that still? Say we. Touchy subject, but I don't know another example to use. Say that we did end up getting that building by the Y and had fields. And then we needed to have money to like turn them into usable fields. That's what I'm thinking, if somewhere down the road, anything like that were to happen.
Yeah.
But if
That would be a
you're
project.
applying it each year, then is it still there to be used like
Well,
10 years from now?
Not using all of it to produce next year.
Gotcha,
So we,
okay.
definitely
So maybe a
probably like
percentage,
80% would probably go into savings, and then 20% to.
perfect,
It's coming.
that I would get on board with. Just because I think then it's not so hard to sell it too, right?
Yeah.
If we. If people don't want their taxes to increase, we can say, well, we have this amount to help with this community center or this
Yeah.
field or
Fees,
whatever it is.
taxes.
Right, it didn't even come from
Exactly.
tax, it came from programs that your kids were doing, Yeah. Okay, no questions?
I have one question for revenue. We had discussed maybe charging cancellation fee. Did you take that into consideration or no?
I did not.
Okay.
I already do, there are already the $5 cancellation fees in there.
Okay.
I did not, no. We're thinking, there have been so many cancellations, people are just like getting on registering for 20
Yeah.
programs and then they 2 weeks later, oh, I don't wanna do this, I don't wanna do
Right.
this anymore. It's a ton of work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like every Monday I sit there probably 3 hours doing refunds. I feel like that always comes in over the weekend, all the emails.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, what we should probably look at is just trying to figure out like, how much of your time are you spending on
Yeah.
cancellations?
Mhm.
And just adjust the number appropriately. Because if I cancel, you're
Well, 'cause
canceling a bunch of.
what
those
we
every
were
month.
doing is if they were getting a household credit, which just stays in rec desk, it's not as much work. But then when it's a credit card, I have to go into Stripe and do
Yeah.
it there but it's work either way. So we thought about saying it's a $5 cancellation fee, no matter where the money's going, but it's $10 if you want it back to your credit card. I feel bad though, because if it's a legit reason, the child's sick or broke their arm or something, then I feel bad doing that.
Well. you-
But a lot of
you
times
all-
it's just we decide to go to Dairy Lake instead. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I struggle with that, but
What, I mean, realistically, how many cancellations do you think you get within a season?
I can look it up for you. A lot.
Yeah.
It's probably on Rec Desk. I could just put in cancellations for the year and or
Yeah.
refunds for the year. It's a lot.
Because I think maybe what we do is take a look at it and we can try it. So like,
Figure out, probably have to do a policy.
yeah, and like to not budget against it for next year, but we can take a look at it, because again, even if it's 500 cancellations, it's
Mhm.
$5,000,
Mhm.
something that actually it sounds like a lot more money than I was thinking.
Yeah.
But I think if we wanna rather than budget for it, try it out, and then that way. If you have a policy of like, if there's a doctor's note or something like that, pay the fee or something like that, we can kind of work that out, and then in the next year's budget, once you've got a better handle on how exactly that's gonna work out, we can
Yeah.
budget against it.
Yeah, I go back and forth because I get the doctor's note thing, but then that's just that much more I have to interact.
Exactly.
Wait for the note, like keep reaching out. Did you give me the note yet? Like,
Yeah,
Does that go against the 3% admin fee too?
I'm sorry.
Does that go against 3% admin fee too? We have to remember, like, are we losing the 3% admin fee? Well,
Yes. Yeah, because the admin fee is on whatever that final number of income is after the, everybody's registered and cancellations have happened.
All the programs have. different
Because I mean,
registration.
then if I didn't do it that way, I'm taking more money away from the coach to be able to pay his people
Yeah.
and whatever, and they didn't get that income from the kid, or from the participant.
because maybe that's the goal, is just to, whatever we're losing in admin fees, make sure the cancellation fee covers that.
yeah, because.
Plus,
the admin
probably
fee
plus
is
an
on
extra
time.
work that you're putting into it.
Well, the admin fee was basically covering your time as well.
Mhm.
That's why we raised it that all those years ago, when it was low, and it's not even covering their time.
Right. Yeah.
We're gonna have to have.
I don't know, you're making my head hurt right now.
We'll have a bigger conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's so hard because, you put yourself in the situation of parents and
Right, right.
Yeah,
But
I,
it was taking responsibility.
and I know that if you're really not feeling taking them that day, it's easier to cancel when you know you're getting all the money back. But maybe if they're not sick and you just don't feel like it, if you're not gonna get the money back or a good amount of it, you keep your commitment. Which caused our employees
Increase the
to.
fee and actually reduce the cancellation.
Right, yeah, you will reduce cancellations because of.
Yeah.
that could be, that
It's
would be
just
great.
Any
Okay,
other questions? Thank you very much.
thank you.
All right, so we'll start with my budget and then, we can go over the proposal for the website and the meeting management program. I can answer, or at least try to answer any questions that you guys have on that. So looking at my budget, for the salary, you'll see that this year for 2025, 20% of Lisa's salary came out of the planning and development budget because she was working still with Tom and helping out. This year, for 2026, I'm just gonna take on her entire salary in hopes that he has the clerk. And then we'll kind of fade out a little bit, still helping, but not as much. For office supplies, I'm sorry, my formula was wrong on that. It's actually $250 less than what it was last year. We went from 2 Adobe license down to 1 in the clerk's office, just to save a little bit. For seminars and conferences, I took out the additional staff training for a new employee. I don't plan on taking on any more clerks. Things are going really well right now with the 2 full-time and Leah as part-time. It's actually been fantastic to have. No changes in my association dues. Same with publications, no difference. And then you will see the about an $800 increase for clerk information. That's just the typical 5%, 4% increase in the programs that we're using on an annual basis. I did for printing, I did up it another $500. That's for the legal notices and things like that, just in anticipation of what may be to come from the board starting next year for meetings and everything. So I just wanted to make sure we have that covered. Filing fees, kept that at 100, that hasn't changed. And then if you go to the records management, you will see, for contractual that I am asking for 22,125. Lisa was able to get a quote from Avalon to scan the rest of the really large files that we have downstairs. And the majority of the boxes that we have downstairs. It's actually 44,250 for the whole project. Tom is willing to contribute from planning and development half of that. Because it just benefits him just as much as it benefits us to have these scanned. If we are able to do this project, we are down to about 85-90% of everything being scanned downstairs. So what that will allow Lisa and I to do is to get down there and move boxes up one row so they're not on the floor, and down one row so they're not on the top, just in case, God forbid, we ever have water problem or anything like that, they're at least got something covering them. And we'll continue to scan in the office as we have been. Did you have a question, Melissa?
Yeah.
I saw your brain going.
Well, because there are papers, the 75 to 80%, but you said 85 to 90% read it.
I'm sorry, when we looked at it, it's gonna be that 85 to 90%. I just never updated that because Lisa has scanned more. Lisa's the scanning queen. She is scanning every day, if not every other day. So she's doing great. Sorry, I apologize. I did not fix that. Then you'll see the records management information did go up, but again, that's just the annual costs of the programs that are going up.
Here, just a quick question,
Yeah.
curiosity.
Absolutely.
Of the documents that are left, is it like a certain time period or is it just?
So up to now, we are up into 2000. So
Okay.
we've gotten everything from 2000 all the way down to like the 1920s, all those really fragile documents. Yes, we started with the most vulnerable because Lisa didn't want to touch them. I didn't want to touch them. So we sent them with Avalon and they have done a fantastic job and they're doing a quick turnaround with it. So we're very pleased with what we were able to do this year. So I thank you guys for helping us and supporting that. Just hoping we get this port one more time and hopefully we'll be able to continue and get it all finished.
So we're in the century, that's good.
Yes, 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 yes.
Gary, I have a question about under your office supplies. Did you guys just get Foxet?
No, I don't use Foxit.
Okay, I thought Lisa got.
She may use Foxit off of from what she was using with Tom. I can verify with her, but
Okay.
we use the majority of the time Adobe,
Okay,
so I will talk to her about that.
yeah, a Foxet subscription just came through
Okay,
and I thought Hiram had said it was for Lisa.
okay, I'll verify that. Thank
Okay,
you.
yep.
How's just oil?
I love it. I will tell you, it makes doing FOIL requests so much easier.
Okay,
Because it automatically, instead of, like today, I'll give you an example, I had a resident come in wanting to do a FOIL request. I tried getting her to do it online. I don't have a computer, so I gave her the form, filled it out. I had to go and do it, and then I have to send her a letter, and then I have to, anything we get, we have to actually send it to her via mail. She doesn't have email or anything, so just FOIA works fantastic when it comes to, making sure the FOILs are getting done in a timely manner, making sure that people are staying on top of them and just keeping the record of them. So yes, I love just FOIA. That is probably the only thing I like about FOIL requests is the program. I won't lie.
Somebody here that's working out.
Yes. Any other questions so far? No? Okay. All right, so dog control. Office supplies have not changed. That's basically the envelopes we use to mail out the renewals. It's the paper, we kind of just take that all in, the dog tags, all that. Dog control contract, I finally got somebody to get a hold of me, so these app numbers are accurate. We do have to sign a new contract in 2026, excuse me, and it's gonna go up 4%. So it'll be a 3-year contract, and over the 3 years, it's gonna go up 4%, which is typical. So it's not going up nearly as much as I thought it was.
Yeah.
So this number does reflect the number they had sent me. We should have the contract to go over with legal and make sure it's got what we want in it, probably I would say in the next few weeks.
It's a one-time 4% or 4% per year over.
4% per year
So
over,
12% over like.
yeah, which it'll be a 3-year contract. And I believe that's what they did before I took over for Allison.
Yeah, that was the one that it had a much larger increase in the
Yeah.
first year, and then it was 4% per year.
Yeah.
Was it ASPCA got back to you finally?
Yes, SBCA finally got back to me, and quite honestly, when he did get back to me, he's like, oh, we have our board meeting on, it was like the 16th of September. I said, well, I need numbers by the 10th of September. And they got them right over to me. So he understood and apologized up and down. They're just going through some turnover with employees. So that's where the messages got lost on it. So that didn't go up nearly as much as I thought it was, but that is the correct numbers. Veteran services, I knocked it down 100 because I'm gonna be able to encumber some from last year or from this year, to make sure that the, American Legions, VFWs are getting the donations that they have gotten over the years. Historian contract that's out. I wasn't sure what to do with the Historical Society.
So I talked with some of the folks from the Historical Society and let them know that because they were talking about the case and all these different things, so I had said, you know, if they could send over a letter, kind of just reiterating like what services they provide for the town and things like that, that we'd be able to have a productive conversation about what that payment looks like.
Okay, so I just left it at 8,000. Again, not sure if it's gonna go up, go down. I just left it from last year. The next page just shows you kind of what the breakdown was for each account from last year to this year. As going up 25,000, just under 26 actually, for all of the accounts. Any questions on the proposed budget? No? Okay. And then you just have my expenditures. Really, that's as of August 31st. And then on the last change, or sorry, the last page are my revenues. Not too much change on the revenues. You will see that under games at chance, as of August 31st, it's just under $2,600. The reason that is so high is because while going through files, I had noticed that there were a couple applications that never came in and paid their 5% that they're supposed to pay us once they're done with their games. I got a hold of them. They apologized up and down. I said, hey, this is a learning experience, not for me and for you. They came in, they took care of it. So that's why that's a few payments over a couple of years. But they are all square, everything's back together. So that's why this year is gonna be so much higher. I did go down 2,000 for next year for dog license. Just because we seem to be having a low year this year. So I didn't want to overshoot again.
Well, and I think a good note, let's get the postcard that Allison had sent out previously for dog licenses. If we could just get the stuff that was on that postcard, let's make sure that goes in the newsletter that's going out, that's getting mailed, and we'll see if that'll help drive those numbers back up. I think Lisa might be able to find it.
Okay, I'll see if we got something, because I think we did for the newsletter, the first newsletter, we did dog license, no, second one. It was just that last one, wasn't it?
So if that's sufficient, we'll
Yeah.
just, but this is the one that's gonna get mailed out.
Okay,
So hopefully you'll actually see a pretty reasonable impact on.
absolutely, absolutely. I'll look for that tomorrow, Duffy, and if I find it, I'll send it over to you. Any questions on my budget?
Here, just a reminder when you put your revenue numbers in, the minutes and things.
I'm pretty sure I did I not?
I don't have a.
Oh, no, I didn't, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did, because I remembered you reminding me that last year, so I made sure that they were negative this year.
Okay.
Any questions on the budget? No? Alright, so now to the fun stuff, the most exciting part for me. And finally, it's come to an end, I hope. So over the past year, Lisa and I have done extensive research on trying to find a new website provider, meeting management system, something to help streamline everything that we're doing. Right now with Civic Plus, it can take an ungodly amount of time to make one edit. The other day, it took Lisa and I both 30 minutes separately, so an hour total, to try and figure out how to change office hours from one page on the website. So we're looking for something that's gonna help streamline that. John and I did talk with Civic Plus yesterday to see if we did the rebuild, if that would change the way edits are made, and unfortunately, it is not. It'll change the appearance, just not how the back end stuff works. So in that packet I sent you, Revise is the website that Lisa and I are suggesting. With this program, it is a very easy platform to change. Once everything is up and going, it's easy enough to where we can have a training session for each department head to be able to change their own web pages. So they don't have to send it to me or Lisa and wait for one of us to have the time to do it. They'll be able to do it on their own. But we can also lock it down to where that's the only page that they can make edits to. So that we make sure, you know, we're staying consistent and they're not accidentally changing something they didn't mean to change. It can go with a workflow where there's an approval, they do it. We get notification, we can look at it, say, yep, okay, we're good, and it'll publish it. Along with Revise, it does have the ability for online forms. Which is something that we did not include in that price because we do have DocuSign. And DocuSign seems to be working very well right now. But Revise gives us the ability for what is called documents on demand. That is not included in this price either right now, it's an add-on. What documents on demand will do is allow us to put documents on the website and people can go click on documents on demand, it brings them into another platform. And they can search for the document and it'll bring it up. The reason I did not add that in here is because I think we can do that with Laserfiche, which is a program we already have. So Lisa and I are in the process of working with that. So with Revise, we want the bare minimum that they offer, but we do have the ability to grow with them. Any questions on that? It is, I believe, a 6 to 8 month build period. But like I was telling Counselor Neshi, what I might be able to do with the rep is if this is something when you guys make your decision are good with it and give me the thumbs up, I can probably get up with the rep and start working with him, like signing a letter of an intent with a payment due in January. And we can start the rebuild now so that we're not paying too much of a double cost with Civic Plus and Revise for next year.
It's a 20 to 30 week setup period.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's 30 weeks, which will get us ahead of the curve if we.
Yes, yes, and it also is a slower time of the year right now for us in the clerk's office. And with Duffy helping, we should be able to speed the process up by being available a little bit more, if that makes sense.
It's a good point to understand as well as keep. Why that's a good thing to do, what Carrie's suggesting is because if keep the old site up and going, which is gonna cost us money, while they're building new site, so instead of having bills, two websites, or two websites, and one bill coming due.
And Revise does offer a 5-year like contract-free payment plan for that onboarding cost. So if you look towards the back, it's page 27 of the Revise. It'll show you a breakdown of payments for year 1 through year 5. So they'll break down that implementation fee over, it's over 3 years. They'll break that implementation fee down. So it's not like we have to come up with the whole lump sum. I mean, if we can, great. If not, then we have that option as well.
That might be good, because then, just looking at it, that would help the budget quite a bit the first year. Because we're essentially doubling the cost of the website for 1 year, and then actually realizing savings in those first 4 years already.
Yeah, and if you look at that, it's like 2 pages back, there's a spreadsheet there. That has the breakdown of who we did demos with and kind of like ease of use for public, for modifications. That kind of thing. I'm sorry, 2 pages. Yes, 2 pages forward, I apologize. It's been a long day. And then annual cost and, setup fees. So if you look, Revise definitely came in the lowest for the annual cost. But with that, it comes the more expensive for the setup fee. And I'll be quite honest, Granicus, with their annual cost, I did not even ask what the setup fee was, because I knew that annual cost was way beyond our budget, although it was a pretty cool website.
Yeah. Probably makes sense for the cities here.
Yes, yes, but not for the town of Manlius, it did not. Any questions on that proposal with Revise? Revise does have the, public notifications, kind of like notify me. So we still will be able to do notifications, just like we do now through Civic Plus.
Simpler.
Yes, yes. That was one of the things that we really were looking for, is something that made it easier for not only us on the back end to save time, but also for residents. Yeah.
Yeah, the two things that I hear are that that's complicated and that the search function gives you 20,000 items that are irrelevant.
Yes, and this search function is so much easier and it pops up
Yeah.
exactly what you're looking for.
That was when we met with Civic Plus. They were trying to talk us kind of out of it, but when we asked like, have you improved any this or this or this or this, and none of it was improved. So, to be paying more than what Revise was yearly for a inferior product was just.
Yeah.
So.
This is helpful, thank you.
Awesome. All right, no questions on that. We can go to the next one, which is the one I am super excited about. So I believe it was back in July, I came to you guys regarding eScribe, which was a meeting management software program. And you guys had tasked me with going back, doing a little bit more research, to see if I could find other programs that will do this. So Lisa and I found, I think there was 4 altogether, 3 or 4 altogether that did exactly what we wanted it to do. Right now, the one that we're gonna recommend is the Civic Plus Select. It offers everything the more expensive ones are offering, just cheaper, better for the budget. With this program, it will allow us to live stream directly through the website. So it'll take Boxcast away, which is about a $1,200 annual fee. So we'll be saving $1,200, by getting rid of Boxcast.
But also simplifying it quite a bit.
Yes.
Boxcast, we use Boxcast for not what it was intended.
Right, like right now,
So we're-
unfortunately, Boxcast failed me and we are not live, because it just didn't work. It'll be, more secure, it'll be more reliable, just going right through this program. Also with this program, what it's going to allow us to do is be more transparent with all of our committees. Something I've heard since I've been here is people want more transparency with all of our different committees that we have going on. The ease of use with this program is going to allow us to set up templates for agendas, for meeting minutes, and then whether it's the secretary or the chair, they'll be able to go in and log the minutes, create an agenda, and not have any issues with it, to where right now with the Agenda Center, it is so difficult. It's like a 5-step process to make a change or to add something to the agenda. So, what's that?
I just asked you to do it.
Well. But this will help with the other committees that I'm not a part of. And then it's gonna allow it to be more uniform across the board. So,
So just hypothetically, we're gonna migrate from Civic Plus for the town's platform, online presence to Revise. But I'm surprised the Civic Plus didn't try to sweeten their proposal by saying, well, if you're gonna get the meetings software, why not?
Well, so when we had the meeting, once we knew that there wasn't a new piece of technology for the website, that's where we had to walk away. Yeah, and what we've seen with Civic Plus is they have another agenda platform that they've tried to sell us repeatedly that we didn't like. And their strategy is they buy a smaller piece of software and then implement it in Civic Plus. So they're meant to be very modular. So it seems counterintuitive, but to get a better website product, I think it helps us quite a bit.
So you guys consider this?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's what I said to Carrie, when she presented it to me the same day, I'm like, it's like, we're gonna go away from them here, but come here. But even if they try to offer a bundle or something to save us money, it doesn't change that the back end is so difficult to make updates in the website.
right,
That where Revise, they can go right in and do it, or each department head can go in and do it, and it can go right to Carrie or whoever is their designee. They just gotta look and make sure it's consistent with our policies and procedures. It's like, okay, boom, it goes
Yeah.
live. right there. Where
Pull together the cost of this plus the reduced cost of the size annual plans roughly. Are we roughly flat?
Well, so the,
No.
the meeting software is a new expense.
Yeah, the meeting
we don't
software,
have that for any.
yeah.
That was,
So
what was the name of it? E-Scribe. Remember E-Scribe a few months ago?
came in like
Yeah.
$24,000.
So we asked Carrie to go back, see if you could find a few other options.
So if you go to the very last page in the little packet that I gave you, it's got the a comparison sheet again for the meeting management systems. So you'll see Granicus, I'll be honest, when Lisa and I found out about the Civic Plus Select, this program, we both said, there's no way, it's not gonna be any good, it's not gonna do what we want it to do. And we just said, you know what, we need to do our due diligence and we need to do the demo. And as we're doing the demo, we're both looking at each other going, oh my God, this is insane. I had this written up the day before for Granicus. And then as soon as we got done with Civic Plus Select, Lisa said, we need to change it. I go, you are absolutely right. We most certainly do. And we ended up changing it and doing it as Civic Plus Select. Because they offer the exact same stuff that Granicus does, just at a lower price.
And I'll be honest, when you sent the email out with this information, and I was like, I don't think it's Civic Plus, somebody was Civic Plus.
I know. I probably should have, I should have explained that a little bit more. So yes, so to your point, William, I was hoping I was gonna find two programs that were from the same company. Granicus was my best bet for that. But unfortunately, when their website came in at the price it did, and that's even after bundling the two programs with a discount, I knew it wasn't possible. So unfortunately, we have to do two different platforms.
Yeah, so a slight increase in overall cost annually for our web-based tools.
Yeah,
But if we can find the efficiencies in the human capital, then great.
yeah, and we can put our uses elsewhere towards more scanning, more projects. You know, when, you know, you guys need something updated on the website, it's not gonna take us 8 hours to do. It'll be, you know, maybe an hour versus the 8 hours.
Well,
The
the
way
just
Grid
all
is.
the additional features we'll get with that meeting software, I think it'll be well received by the public.
And the only downside to that meeting software is right now it will not send out text messages, just emails, but they are working on being able to do it by text. So they are trying to grow and develop. Because as soon as we ask, well, what about phone numbers? He's like, no, but we're working on it, knowing that that's been a demand. And the good thing with this platform is they have a forum for users where we can put in suggestions and then they put it up on a board and they play around with it. So if we come up with something that we think might be useful to the program, they'll throw it out there, and if they get enough interest in it, then they'll work on developing it. So they are definitely more willing to develop than the actual website.
And they timestamp on the agenda.
Yes, so that is like my favorite thing, is through the meeting, we can timestamp it and it will timestamp it on the agenda. So you wanna just look at item number 4, you click on item 4, it'll bring you right to that part in the video. And it will also pre-do the motions and minutes. As long as I have my computer and nothing gets too crazy, I should be able to walk out of here with the minutes being about 95% of the way done.
And it does, you'll see in the reports you put together, there's a bunch of other features that are optional. So like digital voting, so like, you know, we could literally call for a vote, hit yes or no on a tablet, have that then reflected to the public. So there's a lot of things to kind of look forward to and expand. But in the short term, it has quite a bit of features at a pretty reasonable price.
Like so easy one.
Kind of.
I like some older cities still press a button in each house.
Yes.
It shows red or green above the banner, really old, like Christmas tree type light.
Well, I think given how much of the next year to 2 years are going to involve more and more public involvement, some of the various committees and things that are being formed, it's smart to get ahead of the issues that
Yeah.
people have. I can't find the information. What are you doing behind those doors at night in these committee meetings? So it'll be great. Anything.
And-
That out.
And the other thing Civic Plus will do is they will take the documents that we have on the Agenda Center now, and they will import them into the new program. So we don't have to do that. So we'll still have that record, what's on the website now, we'll transpire over for part of it. That's part of the setup. So it's, I mean, to me, I think it'll save a lot of time and help us and help you guys with that whole transparency and making sure we're being consistent throughout. Any other questions for me? No?
Are these costs included in your budget here or no?
No, those are a town board budget.
I'll go,
That's what I thought, I
Yeah.
saw a picture.
when I deliver a budget in 2 weeks, unless I hear otherwise, I'll probably have both of these already factored.
And Civic Plus will do the same thing. I'm sure that Revise will do if we decide to go with it. They'll do that whole letter of intent and payment as after January 1st, so we can at least get it moving. But I really gotta sit down and see what it's going to entail as far as building the webs, going to a new website provider and doing this. I don't wanna overextend myself, Lisa or Duffy on it, and we wanna make sure we're getting the updates and keeping you all as to where we are and get your input as well. Anything else? Yeah. All right, you're welcome. I will grab Kevin.
No, thank you.
They're hanging out.
I have your attention. You've got a letter that you sent out, Chris, the acceptance letter. There's a problem with that. She is not an at-will employee. She falls under civil service. So what we need to do, for appointment purposes, is to appoint her to a 6-year term starting October 1st, 2025, and running until September 30th of 2031. We'll also should appoint her as the impact assessor for 1 day, September 30th, because my last day is September 29th. I did forward a email on to Kay. Kay has already forwarded it on to everyone else. And so you have the email, but it's all real property tax law, says what you need to do in terms of their appointment. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Don't have an email, I'm sending it in 2 minutes.
And thank you for your attention.
Okay. On up.
You all are brave. I'm probably the least technologically savvy person on the planet, so bear with me. Don't laugh.
Remark.
No, it's too bored.
Not laughing, we're laughing with you. Holding you up.
Really?
Sorry. You should be good to go. The middle button should advance your slide for you.
Okay. All right, good evening. So we're here for our budget. What?
We gotta go back.
Yeah, got it.
There you go.
All right, so if you look at slide number 1, this is kind of a thumbnail of what our staffing has looked like through 2025. We've listed all the months, what sworn officers we had, what our staffing levels should be. So you can see at the top, our authorized strength is 42 sworn officers. In January, we were up to 39. We are at 37 right now. However, we do have 1 in the academy and 1 on FTO. We also have 2 candidates currently in background that we're hoping pass through the process, and we will have them onboarded by the middle of October. 1 is a transfer, 1 would be a new hire. And for Cyros for the school year, last year lowered our numbers for staffing. So, any questions I know? Okay, personnel. So you can see our total projected budget is $5,217,736. SPO and Cyros will cost approximately $785,000, salaries and OT. The revenues received will be more, and they will be covered in future slide. Police department personnel costs are $4,356,105. That's sworn and non-sworn salaries. After billing for the SPO and the Cyro costs, the town receives an additional $228,584. So the real cost to the town would be $4,203 or $203,742. So then we go to overtime. So we have a total projected of $556,763. Of this, the Cyro and SPO overtime accounts for about 117,000. Traffic and OMFU, which was directly reimbursed to the police department, totals about 21,400 and equates to a true expenditure of about 418,000. After billing for SPO and Cyro OT, the town receives an additional 51,643 in revenue, making the overtime cost to the town 366,427. Onondaga County Major Felony Unit. So we have officers that are part of that. So if they are called up for a major case that happens in the county, we are directly reimbursed for their time. Fleet makeup.
Provided for the stand?
No, you can stand right there.
Okay. So I'm just gonna cover fleet makeup. It's similar in nature to last year as far as the, you know, the overall size of our fleet. We did gain one car, last year, and it was due to the increase of personnel that we were seeing. Obviously, more officers means, you know, we need more cars for them to drive. So we have 15 fully marked patrol vehicles. We have one marked detail vehicle. That's the vehicle that's used by a lot of the like PBA details where if a church requests us for traffic, if we're working a security detail, something like that, we use that car. It allows us to directly get reimbursed from people and things like that from whoever's using it versus, you know, us using it on town expense. We have 6 vehicles that are assigned to the Cyros. Those are our school officers. As you know, we now bill for the use of that car. That's anticipated about $30,000. Well, not anticipated, it will be $30,000 worth of revenue when we bill that out each year. There are 7 assigned vehicles in our fleet. That is your command staff and your investigators. We have 1 unassigned vehicle. That is a vehicle that's used as a backup if one of our cars goes down. As well as we currently have an internship position in our investigative unit. And that officer uses that car for those details too. We have 4 admin vehicles. Basically, an admin vehicle is an old patrol vehicle that was in good enough shape for us to use for other things. So those are used for training. Currently, right now, we have our cadet that's in the academy up in Oswego County. She's driving an old Durango that was completely stripped. It was in good enough condition to use and not have a marked car going back and forth up hospital. We have the truck, if you guys remember correctly, that was the one we had the animal strike with that totaled it, unfortunately. So that is a salvage title vehicle that we maintain to be able to tow our vehicles, pick up large evidence and plow the lot, as well as other emergency responses if we had adverse weather. We have 3 trailers, a command trailer, a car seat trailer, which was purchased on a grant, and then a utility trailer we use for things like firearms, moving things around to different details and events. And 5 radar trailers, that went up substantially. Thank you for that. That was part of that grant. We were able to purchase those. And hopefully you guys have seen them around the town. They're freshly striped and look really nice. They've been giving us a lot of really good data. So the next part of that is what we are going to need. So as our number of officers goes up, obviously the usage of the cars does as well. We project that these vehicles below will need replacement. These estimates are based on the actual use of each vehicle, averaged out and what we anticipate they'll be at for next year. So we have 220, which is a Durango patrol vehicle. The mileage on these, like we talked about last year, looks lower. When you consider the idle time on the car and what the equivalent mileage is on the motor, it's significantly higher. So that first car we're looking at is gonna have around 460,000 miles equivalent. The next one, 380. I mean, you guys can obviously read through them. 299, 280. And then we are anticipating the replacement of the lieutenant's current vehicle. That car is one we pulled out of the fleet from the sergeants because of the mechanical issues it was giving us. We've continued to have some issues. We put around $5,000 worth of maintenance into it so far this year. So that's definitely in need of being replaced. Those all, for the most part, will be auctioned. 1 or 2 may end up getting reused for a school car, depending on what goes on. Projected estimates on each car, probably in that $5,000 range. You could see more, could see less. It really depends on if we have a catastrophic failure of one and we, you know, it's not running. Or if we get really lucky and somebody wants it, then it's hard to tell exactly what we're bringing on those homes. We also have that 2004 utility trailer. It is very dated. It looks terrible. It leaks. The back doors are semi-functional. So that is something we are also anticipating the need to replace this year or next. Does anyone have any questions on the fleet portion of our needs or no?
The trailers aren't housed, right? They're kept out. that really impacts their life, right?
Yes, unfortunately, we have no indoor storage locations. We did for a couple years use the town highway for like our radar trailers. But the salt content of their trucks being inside actually was counterintuitive for us. Kirkville Fire has helped us in the past with storing the radar trailers, but now that we have 5, they don't have room for it. And then obviously all the other trailers, the command post and the other two, they're too large to really store anywhere else. At some point, at least a roof over them would certainly help with the fading, the roof degradation from sun, but they do sit outside.
Okay, moving on to contractual. So our budget request is 692,574. This is an increase from last year of about 10.39%. The over the consumer price index states that most items are going up about 4.4 to 9.5, depending on what the items are. So we're falling on the higher end of that range. This is due to required annual fees for our body worn cameras, our in-car camera systems, our investigative programs, the updated LPRs and patrol cars, tasers, and et cetera have all increased significantly, unfortunately. Labor rates for outsourced work has increased as well. And it also includes additional budgeting of 15,000 for current building issues to include a new front door, a garage door, a shed, and additional security cameras outside the police department.
That is a great conversation that we will continue to have through the budgeting process.
Well, we certainly appreciate it taking into consideration the planning phases, but this is just smart. Thank you.
So when you look at the total proposed budget for 2026, it's 7.5 million, 593,134. If you look at the graph, it completely breaks down what each of the different expenditures will be for the police department. So let's take another look at that. So if we compare 2025 to 2026 budget comparison, you'll see that the 100s have gone up about 10.18%. Now, I realize that we have 5.5% raise increase. However, we have currently 16 officers that are within the step process of our police department, which was guaranteed by a contractual, the PBA bargaining. So they will be stepping up to a tune of almost about $20,000. So it's a significant amount, and that's why it's not a 5.5 increase, it's a 10.18 increase. So our 200s, obviously, we added more cars back into the budget. We had 0 last year, so that's a 100% increase. Our 400s, the cost of items has gone up 10.39%. So our total budget has gone up 13.71%. If we look at the past 3 budgeting years, in 2023 to 2024, we went up about 15%. Last year, we went up 10.7%, but that was without the cars. Adding the cars back in, we're at 13.79, so we're pretty consistent over the past 3 years.
I'd just like to add in there also, I'm looking at our budget, and thank you for all being here and thank you for taking the time with us. I'm fortunate to have just a great team around me. We spend a tremendous amount of our time looking at our efficiencies and how effective we are, and we measure ourselves continuously. This is a culture piece for us. We're not afraid of the difficult conversations. I think we've proven that, and we're excited, as always, to be able to just share with you the things we do and the impacts it has. I'm not only your police chief, I'm a taxpayer here in the town of Manlius. So I get it, and I get it from both sides of this. When we look at this too, what we did this year is we pulled our school programming and our revenue out of that total budget. I think sometimes it gets confusing to see what our expenditures are and without really having an understanding of the revenue. And I think this slide kind of shows that to you. When we talk about, we are in the midst right now of forecasting and making those forecasts based on what is our annual consumption of time and resources based on our current personnel numbers, And we are looking at opportunities within our 2025 budget to offset expenses like we did last year. So we offset some expenses, some significant ones, hence why we had a zero for vehicles. But we were still able to purchase vehicles and have some vehicles on grants. So we're looking at creative ways. So again, this is our first, not our first rendition, because we've been working on this quite a lot. Thank you to our liaison, William Nicholson. Thank you for spending the time with us, and town supervisor. I appreciate just having those conversations. So when we look at it, however, not our first bite of the apple, we're looking at opportunities to be able to bring these numbers down. These are the high sides of what you see. We don't sit and say this is a Cadillac budget. We reveal to you what we need for operational success, given what our community expects of us. And at that same time, we're also going to look at how can we look at how we're finishing our year and what could we possibly do together to be able to bring down some of these percentages. To tell you, right now, if we were to remove vehicles, we were able to find a way to creatively purchase these vehicles or encumber that money, that budget request drops to the nines. That's pretty flat when you're dealing with the size of personnel budget we have, but at the same time, let's not forget, we're growing. We're growing. The numbers, they've come up. Now remember, when I got here, you had an authorized strength of 38. We did a look-see. We started looking at where we were, where we needed to be. We were in the low 30s. We're at 37 right now. We're at a healthy 37. And I say that because we are very much focused on culture. It's not what we do, it's how we do it, the manner in which we do it. It's so important for our success and our community's overall health, safety, and welfare. So when we look at it, we are making great progressions over time, but it takes time. Recently, we just canvassed the list for civil service. So civil service process, we canvassed the list of our new recruit police officers. And Captain Stanton, can you reveal the?
Yeah, so we canvassed the ones and twos on the list, which we have to go through before we can reach anybody else. There were 35 individuals on that list. Out of that, only 7 replied that they were interested. Out of that, only 3 made it to panel interviews. And of the 3, none of them passed the panel. So it's a hard process. We want qualified individuals. Yes, those 7, we could have said, sure, come on down. We've got spots, we can hire you. But that's not what we want. We want people that do our type of policing, what our community wants. And those individuals didn't pass. So we're going to canvass the list again. There's another test that is being given at the end of this month. That list will also come out. So it's a continual process. We're looking at transfer candidates. Like I said, we have one right now who has the possibility of maybe bringing someone else with him who might be interested. So we're exploring all our options. It's a process.
We have a very thoughtful, culture-based selection process. Is anything perfect? No. We take a look when we have a member of our organization that has issues within, we kind of go backwards and we look and we say, what did we miss? What did we not do? What did we not see? What are we responsible for as a command staff? What could we do different and how do we do that? That is a part of our culture because of the analysis-based foundation in which this organization has been required to be through COLI. So it just is a part of what we do. So as we look at that, we look at our numbers, what some may see as a weakness, I see as our greatest strength. And I'm not afraid of that, but it takes some time. And I think we've been able to show that over the last 2 years, we have been not only increasing in the numbers that we require, but also in the quality of the work that our members are doing. Remember, these folks are young in many instances, I'm teaching them to be adults at the same time. I'm revealing what it is to provide service above self. So it's complex. But yet, I very much appreciate, your support and your time and guidance. Thank you. You know,
I'm just gonna go on to the last, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Our last slide is a comparison of our budget with and without the school program. So on the left, you'll see our total projected budget, which is a 7.5. But if you look to the right, the total expenditures in the budget, less the revenue, is 5.8. So.
So just as we were talking with Peggy about revenue and things like that, we're looking at the same thing for the PD. To make sure that when vehicles get auctioned off, that goes back into the budget to offset the cost of new vehicles. So that's something that we're gonna be working on. Not only in the budget that I present to you guys in 2 weeks, but as we get closer to November, just to make sure that we're doing a better job of that. And then rather than us, realizing money in the fund balance later on, I think it's a much better process to be able to deliver better budgets with that money. Whether we're budgeting against encumbrances, making purchases this year, as was stated before, I think the goal will be to try and figure out, can we buy those vehicles this year? Can we do it under this budget with the savings they've been able to have? That'll have a major impact on the 2026 adopted budget, but it's things like that we're gonna keep looking at, and then also too, going back and seeing, is there a grant that can pay for one of these vehicles, a certain grant, pay for some, things like that. So we're gonna continue.
love grants.
Yeah.
Yes. Captain Standing, could you, talk a little bit about the overtime, perhaps for members of the public who might be interested in understanding the contributing factors and why the budget for overtime is part of the budget?
Well, we are a response-driven business. So, and depending on what is required of us might sometimes necessitate overtime. We had a homicide this year. That's not something you solve in 8 hours. It does necessitate a large amount of officers to be on scene to carry out different functions. So overtime is built in to cover in that instance. We had a shooting in the north end of the town. All those things, it's not TV. Nothing gets solved in an hour. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes money. So if we look at our overtime hours, we budgeted for 7,900 hours. We've used 6,288 of those hours. However, some officers did opt to take that in comp time, which is a benefit. So that brought our overtime hours down to 5,100. So as far as overtime goes, we're looking pretty good towards the end of the year, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Again, I will preface that with, we are one major incident away from those numbers not being where we would like them to be.
Well, it's good to hear that they're able to take the comp time. I think that was something that we struggled with, it's a great option for us. But if the officers don't actually have that time to take it, it doesn't help anybody, so it's good to hear that. That's a substantial amount of hours.
And with the overlapping shifts, the 10-hour shifts, granted, on a management level, they're not great. On their level, it's perfect. Because we have that overlap, they are allowed to use that comp time more often, so they're more willing to take it so that they can utilize the time.
So for the new cars, it might be good if Sharon could set up a product for maybe future cars.
Yeah.
Purchases.
Yeah, so with the new projects module we have, and this is something that we discussed just the other day. About how when we pay for the cars the year before and then the budget loses the cars. And so the project module will, in a lot of ways, make it so that we don't pull the cars from the budget. But we're keeping accounting of all those revenues so that we can say, well, this amount of the fund balance is actually, for the PD. So we can make those purchases and then, just actually be over, because that's, I think, one of the pains and we saw too early on was if we're not budgeting for the amount of cars we need every year, then the year that we do budget for them, we see a large increase, and to smooth that out as much as possible will be helpful, and the projects module will do that, so we'll definitely have to sit with Sharon and try to set that.
She did go through the training and she said she was gonna try to dabble with it, so.
Yes, we should, and that's probably a good first project right off the bat.
And I'm sure you guys will probably encumber some money from the end of the year to offset some of your.
We're looking at that.
Perfect.
Yeah, well, yeah, we had the conversation on, today. There's definitely some opportunities. The question is gonna be, is it purchases that are made this year, are we gonna budget against them, or are we gonna budget against encumbrances? And like I said, budgeting against encumbrances does actually work a little bit better because we're moving the money in as revenue as opposed to zeroing it out of the budget. So that, again, that budget is still reflective of what's actually being spent.
I appreciate the opportunity. We as a command staff are working on that right now, to offer some, possible solutions, for your consideration. Looking at, what will end up, maybe forecasted to be, and then the priority list of what those things would be for 2026. That we also need to meet the savings. We buy cars in 2025, they're cheaper than 2026. We did that last year, we saved about $8,000 a car, $6,000, sorry. If we're able to buy at the right time and allow the order to go through, get them later on, we're ahead of the game. So there are things we can do, prepaying some of these subscriptions. You know, we have body cameras, we have car cameras. All of that has subscription requirements. Everybody pays them, and those are going up significantly. Do we have opportunities? We have opportunities to prepay 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and reap savings from some of those things. If we have the opportunity to look at some of these things, we should be doing that. So we're focusing on that, looking at some opportunities, and we'll be happy to be bringing it forward for consideration. I've got one last thing, if I may. Is there any other questions for Captain Stanton?
Thank you.
I'd love to be in a position to brag about my people. I've had a lot of experiences over almost 30, coming into 2026, my 35th year in my business. I don't say that to say that because of that amount of time, I'm right, because I'm not right. Most of the time, it just gives me the understanding and the grace to understand I am never the smartest person in the room, but I'm really smart when I listen to great people. So I have that opportunity to do that with my team, and I'm very proud of them. But also, I'm so proud of our organization. Let's not forget that we are your 24/7, nonstop, always responding to conflict. That's all we do. We deal in nothing but conflict, right? So when I tell you about that and you think about just what we do all day long, all night long, the phone calls, the calls for service, no matter what it is, it's conflict based. Yet these young people, led by these great people, are able to prove themselves time and time again. I get so much input. Our community lets you know how they feel about how they were treated by their law enforcement, and I love that. It's it more permeates me because I've lived here for 50 years, so I know everyone, and people are not afraid to grab me and say, "Hey, Jay, let me tell you about this." So I hear about it formally, informally, people stopping by the police department, sending me letters, sending us cards, dropping off food, which I really enjoy. Also, no surprise. But we also have this Power Engage. Power Engage allows us to immediately send a text message to complainants in situations in which that are appropriate, right? And ask a series of questions. And those questions are based on things that we place great value. And so that we get almost a 50% response to our text, which is really, really good in the world of spam and stuff and scams. We get about a 50% return on that. And so far, I just want to tell you that in a year, there was 1,783 questions asked, and out of that, over 91% were considered with a positivity rating of 4 or 5. I consider that to be a major success. When we ask the question, are our people polite, professional, and service oriented? And that same amount in an entire year, 96% people say, yes, absolutely. That's significant in an environment in which we operate, which is conflict. And these people get it done. But you know what? They get it done because of the support that you provide, the expectations that our community has of you and of us. We don't forget our relationship and why we exist. We exist for the community. We're a department of the town of Manlius. I just wanted to tell you what you get for your investment. You get return on your investment here. Because at any time you have the power to be able to say, I want to see that, I don't want to see that. And you have the ground floor connection, boots down to the community here. There's not a lot of places that can say that, especially in a world as difficult as ours right now. So there's been,
Businesses aren't willing to find out.
Yeah.
What those numbers
absolutely. We want to know and we want to face. So when we get something that's not like that, there's a process. What happens? No.
Follow-up, so yeah, get negative surveys and things like that, I'll usually go back to sergeants for follow-up, and sometimes it's a simple miscommunication, right? Sometimes it's just, they didn't realize what we did because they called and left the scene, and maybe the caller just doesn't know what happened after they left, or things like that. So a lot of times too, this allows us to also reconnect with maybe some unhappy customers and change them to a happy customer, which is good, because that's, otherwise without this, we wouldn't even know they were unhappy, right? So that's very valuable to that, and then obviously, if it is something where our officer could have and should have done better, we're dealing with that. They're being put on notice, and we're dealing with it appropriately, and it just becomes part of our ongoing training process. So it's a very valuable tool, and it helps us hold ourselves accountable. Which is, again, that's what, in a small town police department, that's just what you're paying for. You don't have that kind of responsiveness in larger agencies, larger places, in part because they don't have the time or the will, maybe, but we make sure that that's a big part of what we do here.
We prioritize it. And lastly, this is probably the last time you're gonna see Greg for a while. Then he's off to the FBI National Academy. I'm sorry, but I don't get a chance to see everyone and be able to talk about it. So I wanted to make sure that we wish you well. We'll miss you. Get back soon.
11 weeks.
And lastly, as always, I have very much enjoyed my journey with you. It's a privilege to be your chief of police. I'm still humbled to be here. I know this was an experiment. I know it was supposed to be 30 days. I've enjoyed our time together. I continue to enjoy our time together, and I thank all of you for that opportunity. So thank you. And I'll be sticking around for the meeting with these three guys.
Same thing.
comments when we, so we'll adjourn this workshop.
Yes.
And we.
So,
get back on
last
the
year,
discuss.
So last year, she wanted to, your money.
All in favor?
Was our.